thì ở trong thì hiện tại đơn thì các động từ được chia như thế nào? Các bạn cùng học với cô Thúy nhá. Chúng ta cùng bắt đầu nào.
Video is part 1. And in part 1, we are going to talk about some structures of present simple tense, namely the verb 0 and verb 1 forms of the verb that we need for this tense. We will also talk about structures for making statements. In the next video, part 2, we will talk about question structures, and we will talk about how to use this tense. But for now, let's stick to the verb 0, verb 1 structures and statements. The first thing we're going to look at is verb 0 and verb 1 forms of a verb. These are the two forms of a verb we will use in present simple tense. It is pretty easy to make the verb 0 form. As you can see, to make the verb 0 form, all we have to do is use the verb without the word to. So to talk, verb 0 is just talk. To cry, cry. To play, play. To pass, pass. To push, push. To watch, watch. To fax, fax. So verb 0 is also called the bare infinitive because it's the infinitive without to. To make structures in present simple tense, we also need to know how to use the verb 1 form of the verb. The verb 1 form usually has two forms, like talk and talks. Which one you use depends on the subject. For example, we would say, I talk, but he talks. We'll talk about that later. For most verbs, it's pretty simple. We just add s. So talk and talks are the two forms of talk for verb 1. However, there are some other verbs which require some different forms for the second form. Verbs that end in a consonant plus y, such as to cry. Here we have R. R is a consonant, like B, C, D, F, G, etc. So when we have a consonant plus y, in the second form of verb 1, y becomes I. And then we add es. So we would say, I cry, he cries, with ies ending. However, if a verb ends in a vowel plus y, such as to play, R is a consonant, but A is a vowel. A, E, I, O, U. Sometimes Y. These are the vowels of English. So when we have a vowel plus Y, AY for example, we don't change that to I. We just add S. So I play, he plays. If the verb ends in double S, SH, CH, or X, in these cases, we're going to add ES to the second form of verb 1. So for pass, we would say I pass, he passes. I push, he pushes. I watch, he watches. I fax, he faxes. So es ending for all of those for the second form of verb 1. Okay, now that we know how to make the verb 0 and verb 1 forms, we are ready to learn how to make statements and questions in present simple tense. Let's take a look first at statements. We're going to look now at how to make a positive statement. We're going to use a subject plus the verb 1 form. Remember, let's take a look back at verb 1. Verb 1 are these that have the two forms, talk and talks. This is what we use in a statement. So, let's take a look at the verb to like, for example. I like ice cream. You like ice cream. He likes ice cream. She likes ice cream. It likes ice cream. We like ice cream. They like ice cream. As you can see, we are using like for I, you, we, and they. So, first person singular and plural, second person singular and plural, and third person plural. We are using like. However, third person singular, he, she, it, we have to use likes. So this is how we use the two forms of verb 1 in statements. However, there is one verb which is different, and that is the verb to be. Alright, so the verb to be actually has 3 forms of verb 1 instead of 2. Alright, let's take a look back for a second. We learned that most verbs have 2 forms for verb 1. Only one verb has 3 forms, and that is the verb to be. That's why we say, I am hungry, you are hungry, he is hungry, she is hungry, it is hungry, we are hungry, they are hungry. Notice that only I uses am. And then you, we, and they are using are. And he, she, it uses is. Okay, so that is how we make positive statements with present simple tense. Now, let's turn to the negative statements. Again, there's a difference between to be and all the other verbs here. Let's start with the other verbs. So with all verbs except for to be, we're going to say subject plus do not or does not plus verb 0. Remember, verb 0 is the bare infinitive. It doesn't change. There's only one form. Let's take a look back for a second and review. Verb 0, only one form. So we don't have to figure out what form to use there. There's only one. We just have to change the helping verb do or does. For example, to like. I do not like ice cream. You do not like ice cream. He does not like ice cream. She does not like ice cream. It does not like ice cream. We do not like ice cream. They do not like ice cream. Notice that verb 0, like, no change here. Also, we use not in every case. The only thing that changes is the helping verb. I, you, we, they do. He, she, it does. In other words, we're using do as a verb 1 form. Okay, so now that we've learned all the verbs except for be, we need to learn how to make verbs with the verb be. Let's take a look at that. With the verb to be, remember we have 3 forms of be as verb 1. And that's what we will use for negative statements. With to be, am not, is not, and are not after the subject. So we don't need a helping verb here. For example, to be, we would say, I am not hungry, you are not hungry, he is not hungry, she is not hungry, it is not hungry, we are not hungry, they are not hungry. So notice we're using am, is, are as a verb 1 form followed by not. And that's how we make negative statements with the verb to be. Now, you might be familiar with contractions. For example, I'm not hungry, or you're not hungry. Right, we're going to talk about contractions at the end of this section. First, we're going to learn the basic forms, and we'll learn contractions later. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of part 1